Thank you, Brian. So I want to welcome you this cloudy, rainy evening here in Germany. I hope the weather's pretty better in America and the rest of the world. So what we're going to do today in this webinar in the next, let's say a little bit more than half an hour, we're going to talk about the forms of mediation. There are sometimes a little bit different throughout the world. We're going to talk a little bit about the forms of online dispute resolution. Afterwards, I will present you two short examples how online mediation in special can be used in very high complex and very high emotional cases. Example one will be an example of international child abduction. Example two will be short mediation between two international companies. And afterwards, I'm going to show you the basic functions of our system MESUTRAIN to cope with complex live mediations. And afterwards, we're going to find a room for question, and we're going to make a short discussion about it. For you to know, I think there will be some more or less lot of questions during the presentation. So after each part, I'm going to make a short break for you to answer, to give me the questions. So I think we're going to do it the best this way. Okay. First of all, if we are talking about mediation and the forms of mediation, and we'll start with a conflict. It doesn't matter if it's a small conflict or a high conflict, but an escalated conflict. So the most common way to resolve a conflict will be going to the court. Going to find out what a judge means to it. And this form is very, very strong at the positions and on the very factual level. So the feeling of the participants, of the parties, is less important. Most of the time, they're quarreling about facts. Okay, then we're going to find out something about mediation. In a very factual level, we've got the evaluative mediation. So it's working. It's okay. This is a form of mediation which is really strongly influenced by the mediator. It's very close to mediation inside courts because most of the time lawyers and professionals use this during or by the side of courts conflicts. It's very focused on interests or needs, but more or less on legal facts. We find this kind of mediation, for example, in mediation between two companies. For example, in very, let's say, cases of product piracy or anything like that. Then we're going to find the facilitative mediation. It's much more on the side of the interest. So the main work of the mediator is to lead the party to a result by a very structured process. And he's very much responsible to give as many information to the parties as possible. So he's more or less a moderator and bringing the parties to bring in as much of information as possible. It's very helpful in intercultural or factual conflicts because they have always to deal with very strong interests. Okay, the next form is the narrative mediation. We know it from, it's more or less a psychological model The mediator is gonna finding out, let's say, the special words the participants are living in, giving room to the others to show them their point of view. And the most important, I think, form of mediation is the transformative mediation. It's based on the interests and very much on the conflict level. So the most important work during this form of mediation is that you're working very strong, very focused on the relationship between the different parties. So at most of the time in the first step, you're checking what are the intentions, what are the interests of the parties, and what is the startup for their bad mood, let's say. We see it as a kind of psychological process. So we're going to try to bring the parties in the first step to find out a lot about themselves, understand themselves, and afterwards they are possible to understand the other party or the other parties. The main focus is on the improvement of relationship, but with doing this, you have got a lot of workload for the parties. You have to work very, very intensive with each of the parties. We're talking a little bit about things the iceberg. So this kind of mediation is the most time extensive mediation too. Okay, are there any questions for it at the moment? Okay, so let's continue with some forms of mediation, of online mediation. I divide between, let's say, 3 forms of mediation. We're going to find the so-called automatic mediation or automatic ODR, written ODR, and live ODR or mediation. So in the automatic mediation, we find systems like Justice or Modria, written mediation, for example, JuryPax, an online platform to create mediations, but only with written communication. And afterwards, you find live mediation. For example, with Adobe Connect, some mediators are using this WebEx system, for example, or, of course, MESUTRAIN system. So the 3 forms of ODR are different. In the automatic mediation, there's no mediator needed. For example, Modria, it's running in eBay and PayPal. You don't need a person in any step of the process. It's all automatically. It's all internet-based. It's for very easy cases and very standardized cases. It's asynchronous as well. The second form, written mediation. There we're going to find a mediator who moderates the process, who runs the system, who stays in touch with the participants. He's moderating it. He's giving information from one to the other. It's asynchronous as well, and it's designed for more or less easy cases. So, as I know, for example, JuryPax was designed primarily for cases of divorce, and afterwards it was expanded to other cases. But you have got several borders with it because the first elements of JuryPax, for example, are only multiple choice. So the variety of cases are a little bit limited. Third form of ODR and mediation is live mediation. There, one mediator or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 mediators are working together worldwide. we can create live working, we can create multi-sessions, and it's synchron. I know a lot of people, a lot of mediators say, okay, we like the asynchron process because then the participants maybe can cool down as well. And then in the live mediation, the emotions can raise high very easy. I know the problem, but we think that with a good training for mediators using live mediation systems, it should be recommended for them. They can deal with emotions as well. We've got a lot of experience while doing with this. We're using the system, for example, very often in cases of divorces. And there we're going to find out that at the beginning of the mediations, the emotions are very low. So the level of emotions is very low because it's a new system. So the system itself works like a little bit like a moderating filter, and afterwards it's easy to bring the parties cooling down. So it's all depends on a little bit of training and of course of experience. Okay, we see these forms of mediation in 3 steps, like a pyramid. We don't have to talk about automatic mediation can deal with hundreds of millions of cases. We see it in the Modera systems are dealing with around 60 million cases a year. Written mediation, it's in German and in Europe, it's popular too. I think Europax is talking about several thousand cases. Working live mediation is not so great at the moment in Germany and in Europe, but it's coming. Okay, so we created a special word in this 3 steps of mediation of ODR. We're using, for example, the juices system for the very easy cases, but in the case an automatic settlement doesn't work. For example, one of the parties say, okay, the solution the other gave is not comfortable for me. They have the possibility, for example, in the new juices system, to escalate it to a neutral, and then we've got this neutral to decide about the cases. You can use written mediation, you can use multiple choice. Most of the cases can be solved in that way, but there will be a lot of cases who can't be solved with only written mediation. And then we can offer live mediation with our system MESUTRAIN. So this brings me to the examples. But first of all, short question to the participants. I see. Could we not combine written and live mediation from Petrus? Yes, we can combine it. The way we're gonna do it is to use the ODR system beneath email. We've got special email accounts for it, doing a part of the communication with email, for example, to realize that the information, maybe a document was brought in by a party, and then we are sending it around as a PDF to the other parties, to the other participants of the mediation. So at the moment, we don't have a complete system, let's say it that way, which is fitting all 3 versions of it. So you have always to find out, let's say at the very beginning of the mediation, what kind of mediation will be the best fitting form of mediation. And with knowing this, you have to decide what will be the best fitting system to deal with it. I think in more or less easier cases, or in cases where only written information are sent from one to another, a written system will do a very good job. So you don't have any audio, video, and anything like that. But in very complex cases, it's sometimes very good to see the others speaking, reacting while reaching information and anything like that. Does it fit your question, Petros? Okay. Okay, great. So my first example, very short example, I'm gonna say is about child abduction, international child abduction. So we've got the case that a child, or maybe two, are brought from Europe to South America. So that will be a case with the Hague Convention of 1980 can deal with. So if you're working a little bit in this field of conflict, you find out that's a good practice dealing with international case of child abduction is mediation. So I downloaded this brochure from the Hague Convention. It's a little bit over 100 pages, A4 pages, and they think because of the time factor and in international child abduction, you have to react very, very fast, and so mediation is the best way to cope with these cases. So we've got the two parents, and the normal way would be for each side to go to a lawyer and maybe to go to the police or anything like that to make a claim and to work against the other part. But the problem is we have to deal with different nations, with different systems, and so on and so on. And because of that, all ways of communications will take quite a lot of time. So the better way for this is to use mediation, and there the system can be implemented in several steps. For example, in the first to find out between the two parents what is a problem, what is the reason to take the child away. That can be combined with local mediation. We've got at Monday in a webinar we had this question. One possible solution can be to start up with a live mediation, a local live mediation, one, for example, in Germany and one, let's say, in Chile, and afterwards bring the two parties together with using their both mediators and doing it with the system. In the second step, and this is working very good, we have to think about the children as well. In the first step, it's better to let them outside, but afterwards, in the phase to bring them back to the origin place to be. In a lot of cases, they are implemented into mediation too, and that can be another possibility to use the system. For example, speaking to the children at a special local office, for example, with a psychologist or anything like that, or another third person, let's say grandparents or anything like that. So to find out what the child or what the children want for themselves. Okay, another form can be, for example, a mediation between two companies, for example, one in Russia and one in the south of Spain, with a mediator, for example, me in Essen in the western of Germany. So we can combine live mediations like a conferencing system. So it won't be a problem to combine a live mediation with the ODR system at the same time. So everybody can work at their own station, at their own place, and it's very easy for them to communicate. And it doesn't matter whether the mediator or the main mediator will take place. It's especially in this forms of mediation, it's very cost effective and time effective, because you don't have to travel around the world, don't have to find out special appointments. The only factor is the time zone to meet. So I think it's a very easy way to communicate. So I talked about working together, working on all kinds of relationship, and working together means for us sharing of all kinds of documents at the same time to realize that everybody has got the same information at the same time. So nobody has to say, okay, maybe the other party got some information earlier or later or anything like that. There is no place for discussions about it. You can share it with MESUTRAIN. You can share all kinds of documents, PDFs, and so on at the same time in one single room. Live working can be established, for example, live online brainstormings or anything like that. So you can even create team meetings and so on. The implementation of third parties. For example, you're creating a live, you have a live mediation, and you only need, let's say, for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, a specialist, maybe a specialist from abroad. You've got a mediation in Germany and need a specialist from Spain, for example. That would be extremely cost expensive to implement him or her live. Flight from Spain to Germany and back it's one day, a little bit more, and so we can implement a third party very easy by sending them a link, add them to the live mediation with video and audio, and so he can do what he has to do. What I think is very important, especially while working on relationships, you've got a direct reaction on moods and during statements. I think that is one of the great advantages instead of the written communication, because you can see at the time a person is talking about or says a statement, what is his mood. I think written communication always is a little bit problematic because you don't see the face, the mood of the person who's writing at the time he's doing it. So sometimes there's a lot of place for interpretation what he or she could think at this time. So in live mediation, you've got a direct reaction. You have real dialogues, of course, because you're talking about the system with the system. And you can combine, as I told you, several live mediations at the same time. Okay, are there any questions at this time? Okay, so let's continue with a short, some short information about our MESUTRAIN system. So, so the main, thank you. So the main, our system, the base of the system is system, a little bit like WebEx or anything, or Adobe Connect. It was primarily designed for online trainings, but we found out that we can use it for online mediation, supervisions, and so on and so on. Very good. So that's a reason why after logging in into the system, all sessions are called as webinars. While creating a session, an online course, for example, this way you can make an appointment to the parties and anything like that. You can make a short description for the parties. You can offer a length of the of each session. It's between 30 minutes and 8 hours per session. So I think, and then within 8 hours, you can do a lot of work, and you can even create a series of sessions. And that's very important if you want to create 2 or 3 or 4 sessions. This online room will remain the same. So once be opened, it's like, let's say, an office in an office center, which is reserved for this special mediation case. And all the documents you can add in are be stored inside. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. Very important is that all of these mediations are with a special label private. So if anybody from outside looks, for example, on the MESUTRAIN platform, they only see public trainings, supervisions, and so on, or only public events. No one can see any private events. They're hidden. Only this mediator who opened this case, who created this online session, is allowed to see it inside. What we can do as well is we can say, okay, this session costs, let's say, 20 euros or $20 or anything like that. That's very easy. It's a very good advantage for this mediator to say, okay, we're using this platform, but we don't want to charge it ourselves to the participants, but want the participants to pay for it themselves. But so the prices are very low, so you can decide, okay, I just want to take, let's say, 10 euros for a session or anything like that. One of the great advantages of the system is that you can upload several data. You've got an overall space for each room of 2 GB. And while uploading the data, you can decide which data can be downloaded by the parties. So it's very easy. For example, to make one party bring in a document, you're loading it into the room and make a mark at the box download. So the other participants of the entire session can download and can find out what it's about. So it's a very good possibility for document sharing as well, live in the session room and asynchronous. And then we're more or less at a part of the combination between live and grid mediation. We can add comments or anything like that. For example, Word document, Word statement, or anything like that into the system. Load it up and give it free for downloading. As I told you, maximum per room, per mediation, it's 2 GB. I think it's plenty of web space doing mediation. So afterwards, if you create a session, you found you see that the webinar you can that's the impression you as an mediator will have in the system. So you can check your upcoming events. And I think a great advantage of it is you can decide when you want to work on the cases. So, and in a live mediation, you always have to prepare a room a couple of minutes ago or before starting the training. You have to clear it up afterwards, prepare it for next. Here you can decide, and in this system you can decide when do you want to do your work. So it's very comfortable. And very important to check it that it's a private event, so no one else than you can see it. After publishing this event, you'll get a special link to this special mediation room. So you can send this link, for example, to a third party, and with this link, everybody who got this link has got direct access to the system and to the room. Okay, so how does it work? This is an impression of the starting page inside the room. It's more or less like the WebEx platform. You see a large impression or a small impression of the mediator in the bottom right left. This is a variation of a large impression. You can reduce the impression too. For example, when using two, three, or four mediators at the same time, the video will be a little shorter, let's say a quarter of it. You can expand it, you can switch your camera on and off, hand signs, the same as in our system today. You can make screenshots as a mediator as well as a participant. And that's very important. For example, when you are creating, let's say, a brainstorming, you can make, while finishing the brainstorming, you can make an impression screenshot and load it up, for example, for the next session. Very nice other functions with pen, pointer, and so on. So we have got an interactive blackboards to work together. I think it's in our system here. See, it's there. We can do the same at the WebEx system. Okay. We can do screen sharing as well. We can integrate YouTube videos. For example, let's say in a case of child abduction, there was an interrogation or anything like that being recorded with video. You can bring it up the video as well into the system. Okay, the party we were gonna see it in a few seconds, Petros. Okay, this is the cleaned impression. So we've got a large interactive whiteboard. At the right side, we've got area for 1 to 3 moderators and mediators. All moderators, mediators, interpreters, and so on have got the right to do anything possible inside the room. So it's like today, Brian gave me the rights as a webmaster, let's say, inside of this room. We've got a live chat. Beneath the live chat, if you go to the other register, we've got a list of participants. And the basic configuration, we've got 15 possible participants. And to save power, the participants are not online or not inside with video and audio at the main time, but they can, for example, raise their hand, give a hand sign, a virtual hand sign, and then they can be added with live video or with live audio or with both. And then they will appear at the bottom. There you can see the 5 impressions. It's limited to 5 at the same time, but I think It's more or less enough to handle. For example, if you've got more than five people talking at the same time, no one will realize anything. So I think the easiest way is to give the right to speak to one or two parties. Most of the time, we're not dealing with 10 or more people, but only with 2 or maybe 3. And then we can add them with video, and then they see all at the same time. As I told you, we have the possibility to share all kinds of documents. It can be PDFs, Excel files, Word files, all kinds of open office documents, pictures, and so on and so on. They can be uploaded during the session as well. It only took a second to alternate them. You can also, for example, load a complete PowerPoint session like this one here with automatic slides and so on. But the larger the sessions are, the documents are, it takes some seconds more. But I think you can realize it very good as well during the session. So we've got the possibility for the people, for the participants to write on the board if we give them the right to do it. And what we find out that the messages are quite funny departed on the screen. So it's very hard to find out who wrote and where he or she wrote. Sometimes the text fields are laying above. So we are training our trainers and our mediators to use creative backgrounds. For example, that impression of a moderation wall. So you can let the people write what they want. And afterwards, for example, you can create kind of ranking. So it's more or less the same than working live with your participants. Say, okay, let's make a card questionnaire. You're pinning the cards wildly on the wall, and afterwards picking the cards down and create a kind of ranking. For example, here several items to talk about during the next sessions. That's another possibility. For example, if it's necessary to find to create rules or topics or anything like that, to bring it in. So back to the wild texts. One question between. Okay. No, we don't have the possibility to switch between several sessions. So the participants inside these sessions are open to all other participants. We've got another tool. We can add it to it. It's costs a little amount. Then we can create, let's say, a talk beneath it. But on the other hand, okay. I read the question. How do parties and mediator appear on the screen? We talked about it. And can we easily switch from joint to private sessions? So that was the question. So I know there are a lot of people using, a lot of mediators using live mediation or using systems while they switch between one and another party. It's a system of it's a style of caucusing. I know it from Giuseppe. I see he's still today in the session. That's very famous work for mediators, especially in America. in Europe, this kind of talking privately to one of the parties, it's not so good, not so well seen, because there's always a problem that the other party who can't realize what they are talking about, maybe have think, okay, they're talking about something, and I don't know what they're talking about, what's going on, and so on. So we always try to speak to all parties at the same time to avoid, let's say, bad feelings. We can add confidential info. How do you get the confidential information? I think that confidential information should be opened to all parties. So at this time, one party say, okay, I've got a confidential information, but I don't want the other party to know it. I, as a mediator, have a problem with this situation. Because then I doing the question, why is it confidential? Why don't you want the other party to know this kind of information? And I would have a problem with it as a mediator. So at this time, I would ask this party, why do you bring in this information? And especially, why do you want that the other party doesn't know it? So maybe did it fit your question, Petras? But you have to see the whole system is very confidential too. So no information given inside the session can be seen by people outside.
Patrick, if I may interrupt you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I was a little bit confused with this. I mean, obviously it's time, but I was wondering. Sharing a confidential information is for the parties to decide. How can you build a rapport, and how can make a party trust you when you cannot protect his confidential information? How can you make him say to you everything if he is not sure that his information, what he's sharing with you, will remain confidential until he will give you the express right to pass it on to the other side?
Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't hear you very, very clear. So I'm going to try to answer your question. Okay. The confidentiality of the system is realized by the system itself. It's encrypted and so on and so on. And we realize a confidentiality within a contract. For example, when we want to bring in this ODR system into let's say a live mediation, all participants have to sign a contract to that they don't take any information outside of the system too. So we can't see, for example, if they download information and gives us information to another. That's impossible. But that's a problem you've got in the live mediation too. You can't see what they're doing at home, for example, or doing at the job, and anything like that. And within the system,
I was most referring to share to the party to the necessity of having a private session with the party, a caucus, because this is where you will learn the confidential information that may help you to facilitate, problem solving. So if you don't have private session, as we said before, because you prefer joint session all the time, how can you take this confidential information from the party? You may not want to disclose it in front of the other.
If he, for example, if this participant want to hear each participant has a possibility to write messages outside of the system. Within the platform, we have the possibility with an internal messenger system, and you can write confidential information to the mediator. It's possible. So the mediator then can decide how to use it.
Okay.
But for example, you can't open a special room inside this room, a kind of confidential room within this session. That's not possible in MESUTRAIN.
Good. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. Okay. So back to the system. For example, you can create several backgrounds to cope with a problem that you can't find out who has written what and when and where. For example, doing it in that kind of columns, adding colors or anything like that. What we like to do is, for example, to give questionnaires a face. Can be wife and husband, or maybe in this way to create a personal ambience. If you're talking about items to talk about during, let's say, a divorce, you have the side of the mom and the dad, and of course of the kids. Yes, and that's all inside our system. So MESUTRAIN is not only this machine, that ODR system, but we have got several trainings dealing with mediation with ODR. We start with a very low level, let's say low level, with the Justice ODR system. Training for neutral is around 4 hours, and it's only an online webinar. In Germany, we've got training for the certified mediator. It's up to 120 hours. It's recommended by the German Mediation Act. Then we create 2 trainings, 2 MESUTRAIN trainings. One is a MESUTRAIN Basic, to learn all facilities of the system, how to work with it, how to store data, how to operate it, and so on and so on, and how to deal with, let's say, national mediations. We've got another training, Advanced Cross-Border Mediation. That's a special training designed more or less for European mediators, because there's a lot of Europe law inside it, to work with international, or let's say European cases online inside the system. And afterwards, we've got the European Cross-Border Mediator. It's an add-on live seminar of around 16 hours of training, of live training. It's one of the products of our European Community Founded project. I participated in 2011 and 2012. One of the activities was to create novel fitting add-on training for cross-border mediations. Inside, we're going to find international aspects as well as intercultural aspects too. So because we created this kind of ecosphere, because we think if you're using, if you want to use a system for ODR, for international ODR, you have to know how to cope with cases in the best way. Okay, so short view on the rates. We've got very low rates using this system. The basic rate is, let's say, 35 euros per month. And afterwards, you can, you're booking each session, for example, a single session for 30 euros. And we create special review things too for several European countries to cope with different different possibilities of payments. So we can't say, for example, to a Bulgarian participant, okay, you have to pay, let's say, 30 euros per hour of session. It's nearly 10% of a monthly wage. So, for example, for Bulgaria, we have a reducing of 90%. Okay, so I want to open the room for questions. If there are some left.
I do have a question from Giuseppe. He posted it in the chat box. Do you have any video recordings of an online mediation run with the software so they can get a better sense of how it works?
Okay, a recording. We've got several possibilities to store these kind of sessions. We can decide, as you did it at the beginning of this webinar, to record the entire session. And it's visible as well for all of the participants. And afterwards, we can store it, and only the mediator who created this session has access to this complete recording. That's a very good possibility, for example, to make a case-oriented supervision, for example. And then we have got the possibility within the session, not to record the entire session, but, for example, to record the chat. And we can make, of course, create screenshots from the slides.
And Patrick, I think he was that's awesome. That's a very good feature. But I think he was also looking for examples so that people can kind of view a session as somebody who is trying to learn about the system that you can provide. Do you have any case examples that you have out there on your website or on YouTube or anything that people can see this session in action?
At the moment, we've got, or we bring in a lot of examples how to use it within the trainings. So, for example, in our cross-border mediation training, there's more or less 3 hours inside only talking about using ODR system in cross-border mediation cases. On the other hand side, if you wanted to use it or want to try the system, just write a mail to me and we can create a training session, for example, of 1 or 2 hours. And we can offer it, for example, if you wanted to test it on a live case, we can find a solution for it then too.
And Patrick, it might be a good idea to maybe post some links to your website and some ways to really get in contact with you to do some testing in the discussion forum page that advertised this webinar today.
Okay, just a second. There's another question from Petros. Could you tell us a bit more about Justus? What is it? Do you provide training for this? Yes. Justus is a brand new worldwide system. At the moment, the pilot is running. And I think at the beginning of next year, Justus will be at a worldwide start. It's a system a little bit like the system within eBay to cope with cases with cases between buyer and seller at a very low level. And it's working in 2 steps. The first step is entirely computer-based to find out a standardized settlement. If there's no settlement be found within the first step, the buyer can escalate it to the next step, and there a neutral, an international trained neutral, will decide with the possibility, for example, to write to the parties to find more details to make a real good decisions fitting both parts. Information about Justus can be found on our website, euro-odr.com. and of course at the site of justice.com. And the training areas, I created a special training for these international neutrals, and we are going to offer it at the second half of November this year. Does it fit your question, Petros? Okay. So I want to say thank you for your attendance. I hope you enjoyed the last, let's say, more or less 1 hour. If there are any questions, feel free to contact me with under my email, and I can provide you with any information you need. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Wonderful presentation. Good work that you're doing on that site. It looks very, very feature-rich and very, very effective. So thank you for sharing that. I will put the archive of this session up in that discussion forum page that describes this webinar. And hopefully Patrick can share some more information about checking out the work that he's doing there. If anybody has further comments or questions, you can also continue this conversation in that forum as well. So thank you, everybody.